Hey again, it's Wes. I'm back in the shop. I'm making a video. The last video I did, I made this concave surface out of a short fat piece of bar stock. And this one we're going to make the mate to it. Actually, that's already in the can. This is the result. You see, this is a convex. It fits this. However, it fits it special. You can see a slight rock in there. But they're not concentric, the two surfaces, but actually they are. But they're only concentric at a 30,000th gap. The intention is that we can put a piece of metal, sheet metal or stock in there, put this in the press, squeeze it together, and both surfaces will get the same amount of pressure. And I use 30,000 because, well, sheet metal stock comes in various sizes from 20 to 40 thousandths. Well, plate's even thicker, but what I'm interested in working with is about 30 thousandths of an inch. And it'd be close enough for, as I say, government work. So there's some particulars that you need to know in order to make these parts the right way, the way that they're both going to fit. And there's some math involved, unfortunately. But what we're going to do, we're just going to skip into making it. You'll see the numbers as I put them in the DRO. And at the end of the tape, we're going to have just a little short bit on the formulas that were used and how I came up with the numbers and the decisions that had to be made in order to make this. So I'll look up the time and I'll set the skip to point. But otherwise, when we get done with the machining, if you don't want to watch the math, you can end the video there. Or if you're interested, you can watch the whole thing. And I hope you do. At any rate, we'll get right on into the video. I want to thank everybody that's watched. I want to thank everybody that's subscribed. And if you all want to make comments or have questions, be sure and put them up there because I look for them and I'll be happy to answer any that I can. So on with the show. So we got the piece all chucked up. DRO zeroed. Next thing we need to do is set up all our parameters and start the arc function program. That's this arc shape button down here. Smooth arc XY. The center position was actually at our radius point in this case, minus 2.97 inches. The radius is 2.97 inches. The tool diameter, that's for milling, it's 0 for the lathe. We're going to do 2 passes. The first cut's going to be 20 thousandths for the max cut. Then we're going to start back over again using a much finer cut, but we'll have a lot less to cut. The starting angle is approximately 31 degrees, and in this case, just like the previous one, the starting angle is really going to be the ending angle because it's going to work counterclockwise. The ending angle I have it set at 360. Now that's important instead of 0. By experimentation, I found if you start at 0, it'll start all the way over, or attempt to go all the way around, in this case 31 degrees shy of a full revolution. It seems to go from the lower number to the higher number. So the direction of the arc, the section that we'll do, will be the right one if we use 360 for the ending angle. Rad plus RL, and I've shown that before. That is whether to add or subtract a tool diameter when I was making the computations. And since we have tool diameter set to 0, either of these modes makes no difference. Now, just like before, to get to the part that I want to actually start cutting at, which is going to be on the face at the center, and working our way toward the spindle and outward, we're going to have to go the last step. And so, and I'm not going to stand here and film pushing every button all the way down there, but we'll get this thing set up, get the camera set on the piece, make the first few cuts, and then we'll move on from there. So, be back. And now we're set up to make the first few cuts. We'll get the machine turned on and we'll have at it. We're on 300 RPM. Little juice. The first step should really be right on the surface there. All we're really cutting off is that little nub I left to measure by. So the first step again is the last step, so we're going to be stepping backwards through this. The next step, you can see we're not really going any deeper. Curve's very gentle at this point. We go 20 thousandths on the X. What we're going to do is come back and we're going to, unlike the previous one, we're going to move on the X first and then we're going to move in on the Y. Actually, it's 3/10 is all the way going in. It's 20 thousandths back from where we were. That's not deep enough to make an effective cut. Another 3/10, 7/10. There's something worth cutting. Bring us a total of 8/10 in on the X, or 8 thousandths in on the X. We're going to move in on the Y until we get to 0. That's 1.679 and change. Now I'm just going to hand cut most of these because I don't want to overrun. There was a video Tom Lipton did. He called this coloring, making these staircases. Papa Joe reminded me of that on a comment on the previous video where we were cutting the concave surface. The intention of this one is to get a convex surface that matches the one we cut before, but it's 30,000ths of an inch off the surface. That way, when a piece of sheet metal is in there, it'll be a 30,000ths thick. It'll be touching on both sides evenly. At least that's the intention. And if I'm careful, maybe that's the results we'll get too. Down to 30,000ths. 6, 3. There. Worry about the finish moving back. All this is going to be cut away. We're going to step until we have a decent bite on the X to make 1.5, 3.3, 7, 9.2. We'll make the next cut. Then we're going to go back over, repeat the program with much finer steps, and we'll trim these more or less staircases up into very fine ones. All right, Wesley. Let's actually move the X before we start trying to cut. Like I say, we're just hand feeding here. I can hand feed about as fast as I would dare auto feed. Because I don't, if I overrun taking this in on the Y, we're going to spoil our piece of work. So. Still 1/4 inch to go. Thousandths, 50, 25, 16, down to the single digits here. And of course I'm going slow because I don't overrun. 1/10 there. We'll back out. I'll continue to make some bites. I'll bring you back when we have this staircase all completed. All right, back. We're going to do the last cut. And we're going to have to clean up all of this mess. But we've got to make about a 10,000th inch cut, but only about 400 thousandths long. The steps will get larger in X as we go along, and smaller in the Y. things up a little. Just a 1/4 inch left. Eighth of an inch. About a 16th. $30,000. Single digits, 6, 5, 3, less than 1. Okay, that finishes the cuts, the roughing cuts, that is. We can move down and look. All those chips that came off of there. They sure look like a lot more chips when they're in a pile than when they're on the metal originally. All right, we'll come back. We'll be starting on the finishing passes in the center, moving out, and each will only. Since we have the bulk of the material off, we'll only be making real fine cuts. So that'll be real tedious. So we'll only film a little bit to show you what it's like, and I'll do the remainder off camera. Okay, we're back. We're ready to restart our program, change our step size, and clean this up. As you can see, I have the rough steps, and you can feel the roughness there. There's some of those cuts are 10,000ths of an inch. I skipped steps until I had a decent amount of X distance to cut, and then I'd go across and plunge face off until I got to the 0 point, stop, back up, go to the next step, move the X, and then cut in along the Y. And after a while, I got, it's a approximation, but none of the cuts are any further than it'll be the final product. So when we go through with this next step, we'll be cutting basically a little bit off of each of those steps, maybe several cuts, until that gets a nice smooth, well, reasonably smooth surface. So we put the radius, again, this is just the same as what we had, same center position, same radius, same tool diameter. The max cut, this is what we're going to change. We're going to change it to 0.005. That's 5 thousandths. Same start angle, end angle, rad plus RL. Now again, we're gonna okay, we got to the last step. I had the initial position at 0, 0, the actual position, and now, so over there it shows me that this is the start point. So that's kind of like a double or extra check. Now we're gonna back up the steps until we have some amount of X distance to cut. there on 1/10, and we'll back out the Y. All right, well, we'll crank this up. I'll make a small number of cuts, and then we'll just cut the camera, move on to the end. It seems like most of what we're cutting here is air. Okay, that's how we do it, and you can see it's very slow. I'm gonna keep on going till we get done, and then I'll show the finished product. We'll talk to y'all later. Now we got to the end of the cut. I think in retrospect, trying this in 2 phases is no saver in time, because I ended up, instead of going in reverse order for the second pass, I ended up going back and going in order. That is, making the cuts on the outside edge and moving toward the center. And when I did it, a lot of the cuts, they're too small, and the bit doesn't dig in. It just sort of pushes the metal until it finally gets thick enough and lops it off. So I ended up having some shavings like that. Just a big mess. But I got it done and it was pretty smooth. You can feel the steps are larger on the outer edge and it's smaller as you move in. And you can feel with your fingernail the slight edge out here. But this all in the center is very smooth. Can't feel it with your nail. But it's not going to matter much because we're going to take some Scotch-Brite. Well, actually some emery and then some Scotch-Brite. I'm going to clean that up to make it pretty smooth. And that'll be our male dye. And we're going to pair that up with the other. And we're going to be doing some more work to this. Thinking about putting a texture, electro-etching the texture on the edge. Faces, cutting faces, pressing faces of these two blanks. And then maybe I'll case harden it. I've got a torch, I've got some cherry red. I may try that. Although for pressing sheet metal, I'm not so sure that it really needs to be all that hard. But we'll plan it out, and if I get anything done with it, I'll make a video. I'm going to change the format around from the last one. I'm going to put the math after the turning here because I'm sure there's a lot of people just simply don't want to be bothered with the math, and there's others who perhaps might like to know what it takes, and there's a little extra figuring to get to this, and so that'll be on the remainder of this tape. And if you don't want to see that, you can log off now. If you would, if you like it, click like. If you want to see some more like this, please subscribe. Anyhow, I thank you, and we'll see you again in another video soon. All right, now we do everybody's favorite part, the math. And we have we have a concave part that we made previously. We want to make this in green, this new convex part. And I want to make them so that there's a 30,000th gap, both at the rim and all the way across the curved part. Forgive my drawing. I'm not an artist at all. So we have to think about this. The first reflex might be, well, it would both be the same, and if you moved them up 30 thousandths, it'd be parallel all the way across. That's not right. If you had two circles, they were both 3-inch radius, and you had the centers 30 thousandths apart, they would inevitably intersect. Try and draw it yourself with a compass. A neat drawing, you'd find that they would intersect. They couldn't be parallel because at two different points they touch and pass through. What would be parallel is a radius that's 30 thousandths less than the other. And that'd be the same distance all the way across here. So it answers the question, what should we have for a radius? Now we have another question then, where should we put the radiuses? Should we put them 30 thousandths apart? Well, actually, no. We want that essentially to be concentric with what would be an upside down version of the concave that we cut. And so we need to do this, we need to have this height h, as it was in the previous formula, the same between this and this. Now we offset that 30 thousandths, but we have a 30 thousandths smaller radius. Those two cancel each other. So it means that for this convex, when we want to have the radius point 2.97 down from the peak of that. So we've answered that question. We know what R is. We also know that H is 0.4091 from the, we had worked that formula for the last one, so we want to match the concave portion. That means we have to calculate a new chord distance, C, and a new angle. And I'll erase the board. I'll put the formulas up there that you use. And we'll run through just the highlights of it and solve them, because I know that I'm not a math teacher, and many of you either don't need a math teacher or don't want to be bothered with learning math again. So hang on, let me redo the board. Okay, I have the formulas up there. We calculate C. So we know R and H. And we can plug those into that formula. We come up with 3 inches and 8 thousandths. And the angle is the arctangent of this 2H over C times 4, which comes out to 61.6 degrees. Again, since we're using a lathe, we only really need half that angle, because the other half is reflected as the piece turns. So that's approximately 31 degrees. So we're going to start our cut at 360 minus 31, 329. We're going to end at 360. So that's how I came up with the parameters that we used at the beginning of this episode to put into the program for the DRO to cut the block. And I've already checked that they're just right. You know, and you put them together, they don't fit because they're not parallel at touch. They're parallel when they're 30 thousandths apart. And we're going to do some more work with them in another episode. Until then, we'll just move on. I thank everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.